and good evening. Hope everyone is having a blessed evening. I am having a blessed evening. Yes, I am. Yes, I am. This is a blessed Saturday. Yes. So we're going to get into this topic, right? We're going to talk about CityFHEPs, and CityFHEPs we're talking about in New York City. The CityFHEPs program is a housing subsidy for those that's not make for those that cannot make ends meet, right? And basically is to help people with their rent, right? Now, CityFHEPs been around for some time now, but we know that CityFHEPs also don't play their part for people that's less fortunate. And I'm going to break down the CityFHEP, right? I know of many people that have been on CityFHEPs and the city has not paid a tab, right? You coming out the shelter, you may have been in the shelter for 4 years, 5 years, whatever, you with your children, right? They'll find you a place, they'll find you a resident, but they would not pay their portion of the rent, right? They would not pay their portion of the rent that they owe the landlords. And this is why the landlords do not take CityFHEPs. They don't want CityFHEPs because CityFHEPs in the city of New York City don't pay their tab for people that cannot make ends meet. A lot of these residents don't have career jobs for whatever reason. Or even if you do have a career job, right? The rent is out of control here, right? The rent is out of control. I mean, they keep upping the rent. For one bedroom in New York City, you got anywhere from $2,000 to $3,000. It depends on where you live at, right? The rent is out of control. So you can have a city job, but you still can't pay that rent. You have a one-bedroom apartment, right? And the one-bedroom apartment is $3,000. Like, who does that? That's crazy. You understand what I'm saying? Like, and you gotta have two or three jobs just to pay this rent, like, just to make ends meet. So now you can't pay the rent. So now the landlord's kicking you out. He's evicting you. Now you're going back and forth to court. You're going to housing court, right? So now you're going back and forth to housing court. You just left the shelter. You just start settling. Now you're in there with your children. Now you backed up in rent. Now you paying your portion, but the city is not paying their portion for whatever how much. It could be $2,000, $3,000, whatever the case may be, right? That's supposed to have been before. It's supposed to have been for 5 years, but now they broke it down. I think it's one month's rent, 1 month security, and they pay one month's rent, right? And then you are left on your own. So what if you got a regular job, right? And you don't have a career job, and your portion of rent, you got a 2-bedroom coming out the shelter. Your portion of rent, actually, your rent is like $4,000, $5,000. You understand what I'm saying? For 2 bedrooms, 3 bedrooms, how you gonna pay that rent? You ain't gonna be able to pay that rent. You need some subsidies, right? Now the trickery here is playing games. You're playing games basically, right? You got the rent sky high because you don't want nobody here. Nobody got a career job. Everybody don't want a career job. You understand what I'm saying? So now you are left to go back in the shelter. You are left to go back to square one. Square one. Now you're going back to the shelter for another 2-3 years with your children because the city have reneged on paying their portion of rent, and this is why the landlord, right, don't want the program because the city do not pay their portion of rent. They don't. They don't. It's hard to even find a landlord that would take the program because the CityFHEPs has a bad name. Has a bad name. Now, why are the citizens and New Yorkers can't pay their rent? Why? Why is it? Because you set it up that way. That's the way you set it up. You keep raising the rent up, raising the rent up, raising the rent up. How can anybody pay this rent? And then you got single mothers out there. For whatever reason, you took the man out the house. The man is no longer there. He probably in jail, he probably on drugs, or whatever the case may be. Now she's left to go on public assistance. It's all a big cycle. It's all a big cycle of dumb, deaf, and blind. And you just keep spinning the block, spinning the block, spinning the block. And people are going deeper and darker and darker and darker down a rabbit hole. The family is already destroyed. The man is not in the house. Now she is forced to go back in the shelter. And you know what? She's blaming the man for whatever reason, whatever it may be. Whatever it may be, it always falls back on the man. But the city don't pay their portion of rent of CityFHEPs. So they were trying to do away with the program. They basically were trying to do away, so the judge blocked it. He blocked it. He gave a temporary holding on CityFHEPs because what the city did, the city tried to get rid of the program. They tried to get rid of it, basically, right? So now they did some underhand, and the judge seen that, so now it's a temporary hold on CityFHEPs right there. They didn't do away with it, but it's still there. So they are forced to pay the rent. People are in the shelter. They're looking for a place of residence. But let me tell you something. To everybody that's in the shelter, right? Whatever programs that they have, whatever opportunities that they have, right? You have to take, if there are a lot of single mothers out there with single children, and guys too. You got guys that's in the shelter too. But this is geared more towards the mothers. Listen, apply for all the city jobs. You have the opportunity, apply for all the city jobs. Just put the application in. Just put it in. Where there's a will, there's a way. And then if you don't have the money, they got I think they got some paper, a waiver. They got a waiver. Ask your counselor, if you can't pay and you're less fortunate, you can sign a waiver. And later on, they will waive it, but they still accept your application because you're going through a tough time. So try to get the waiver out, connect with your housing specialist, connect with your counselor that's inside the shelters. You have to connect. Just don't sit around, just don't do nothing, be active. I know and understand that it's hard. Your children, you may end up in a shelter in Brooklyn, and then children's schools is in the Bronx. You got to get up an extra 3 hours. I know it's difficult and hard, but you gotta push through it. You have to push through it. So if you don't do it, who will? So that's just a suggestion that I'm putting out there. I know it's difficult and hard because there's no balance in justice. As people become more greedier and stomping on people that's in the city, that's less fortunate, that don't understand the system, don't understand what's going on. They stomping on you, destroying you, and stuff like that. There's no justice in the balance. Being that there's no justice in the balance, that's why people are ended up in the shelter. This is why This is why minimum wage hasn't gone up. How does rent go up and everything go up, but minimum wage stayed the same? Rise up minimum wage to at least $25 an hour, at least $25 to $30 an hour. They're not gonna do that. Because that's gonna mean that everybody can pay their rent. Everybody can pay their rent. Hopefully everybody can pay their rent. You gotta, listen, start applying for career jobs and career opportunities that's out there. MTA is hiring, the city's hiring. There's a lot of city agencies out there that's hiring. You gotta start from somewhere, okay? There is a will is a way, that's what I'm saying. And make your way. And pray for the Alpha Omega that created everything in existence, right? So now this is like a little taste of what's going on with these government assistance programs. You're trying to do away with the program. What's next? Section 8? What's next? Public assistant? All of these things is going to, allegedly is going to be cut. I want you to stay on point. I want you to be on point. And this is really, really important, right? So, CityFHEPs supposed to help you. You got guys in there right now, they have CityFHEPs. There's no more Section 8. So there's CityFHEPs. So there's a temporary hold on it. There's a temporary hold on it, right? So if your guys is working, your voucher may say, we're gonna pay 2,100, 2,300. Then you're looking for apartments, right? The landlord's not gonna take apartment because it's from CityFHEPs, and they know that CityFHEPs don't play a part for the less fortunate, right? And the reason why they don't play their part for the less fortunate is because the people that's fortunate is stepping on the people that's less fortunate and doing the people dirty. All they gotta do is just keep things balanced and just. This stuff won't be going on. The chaos and the confusion, the murder, death, kill, and everything else won't be going on. It won't be going on amongst this, in New York City. This is an actual true fact. CityFHEPs don't play their part and the landlords want their money. You procreated the less fortunate. You procreated the less fortunate. You got the money, right? You got the skills, you got the programs, you got these things that could put New Yorkers back on their feet. You have it, but you don't want to produce it. You want to keep raising up the rent, raising up the food, raising up the clothes, raising up everything else while keeping the people dumb, deaf, and blind. So what that's going to do, that's going to produce and procreate more violence and more murder, death, kill, because you procreating it. You got a selective few of individuals that's millions. They have millions, 200 million, 300 million, 100 million. One person don't need all that money. Won't you think one person need all that money? No. One person do not need all that money. This is why this world is not with justice and balance. And this is why all this stuff is going on. While those stay on top and keeping those at the bottom. Now you have to find your way to get it. Come on, man. Come on. What we doing here? What we talking about? What we doing here? What we talking about? Like, we already on game. We see what's going on. We see what's going on. I know I see what's going on, but this is sad in the same token that your guys producing this stuff, right? This is why people cannot stay in their home. They cannot pay their rent. Now you gotta have to go back in the shelter or whatever, and then when you go back in the shelter, right? You gotta stay in there for 2 or 3 years, 4 years, in order to get a place, or force yourself to go somewhere else. And it looks like in all the states all around this world, right? This in America, they're on the same page. They trying to do away. They trying to get rid of. People are literally camping in the streets and living in the streets because they don't have nowhere to live. Is because people are not keeping justice and balance, and there's a few people. You really need $10 billion? One person need $10 billion, $20 billion? Do you know how many people you can feed with that? Do you know how many people that can pay their rent? There's no justice and balance. So what you think people are going to do? They're going to act up. They're going to be doing violence, which I don't recommend you to do that because it's a trap to lock you up. Now you got a felony. Now you walking around the yard for 5 years, 10 years. Now you out here doing crime. Now you out here doing a lot of other stuff, man. This is, it's getting worse and worse. So, this is towards CityFHEPs. Anybody that's in the shelter, just keep your eyes open and your ears to the ground, There's a temporary hold on CityFHEPs. I know it's difficult and hard to find a place because the landlords don't take CityFHEPs. They don't take CityFHEPs because it's not guaranteed money because the city is not paying. And the reason why the city is not paying is because they procreate all this rent hike, food and everything else. and didn't up minimum wage. Why you gonna keep minimum wage? It's not even $20 an hour. At least make it 25, anywhere from $25 to $30 an hour, where people can pay their rent, people can, have motion and movement about themselves and feel good, man. That would lessen the crime. That would lessen any and everything. But you don't want to do it. And this is real talk. This is real talk, man. So this is my option. This is what I feel about the CityFHEPs program. I know about the CityFHEPs program. Get in my comments if you are in the shelter and you are facing this thing and you've been in the shelter for a year, 2 years, 3 years, and you got your voucher CityFHEPs, but you just can't find a place. You can't find a residence. That's because the landlord don't want it, because the city ain't paying their portion. I heard CityFHEPs was up for 5 years, but then I heard it was for 1 year. So now you got 1 year to stack your money, you pay your portion, and I recommend all the guys, this is what I tell all the guys, if you are in a shelter, get your license, then you get your CDL. Go for your CDL, learner's permit, do what you gotta do, get into MTA. If you don't wanna go into MTA, do something else. Try to connect and get your CDL license so that you can go locally. I don't feel that you should go long distance, because a lot of things are going long distance when you are driving in these sundown states. So you have to be really, really careful with that. But you can have motion and movement about yourself. Try to figure it out. I know how you feel. I've been in there. I was in there for 4 years. You know what I mean? I made it happen. While you're in there, you need to apply for all these city jobs, these career jobs, while you are in there waiting for your residence. And I know that you really can't have motion and movement because you're not stable. Your mind is all over the place. But listen, you can fight through it. If I did it, you can do it. This is an actual true fact. Ain't nobody really giving it up like this. Ain't nobody really talking about the CityFHEPs and talking about Section 8 and talking about the SNAP benefits being cut, So we definitely gonna talk about that, and I want you to stay on the lookout for any and everything, okay? So thank you so much. I'm glad that you're here, and I appreciate that you're here, Like I said, they trying, it's a temporary hold on CityFHEPs. We all know CityFHEPs don't pay their portion. I don't know, I could be wrong, but I was told by a lot of people that CityFHEPs don't pay their portion, and it's very difficult and hard to find your resident because the city don't pay their portion. You could be paying your portion, but the city don't pay their portion. Now that you backed up now you gotta go back to court and go on the rent. You understand what I'm saying? Because the city didn't pay their portion. Now you going to the city, now they kicking you out, now he's doing the eviction, and now you out of there. Now you back to square one. Yeah, CityFHEPs, yeah, there is a lot of situations like that. I know of the past, I don't know the present, but they left a nasty taste and a nasty history, a nasty history about CityFHEPs. So I want you guys to stay blessed up, stay prayed up, and stay positive. Peace, y'all. Peace, 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 peace.